Okay, we're now in the last chapter of Unit 4, and we're going to go over average daily balance. And you'll see from the last unit you're familiar with that this looks like a statement. It's got your billing date, your payment due, your previous balance, your credits. All of this here is kind of the meat of what's going on. And up above it lists all the transactions and when they happened. So for the first question, what we're going to be doing is we're going to kind of be going back and forth and using a credit calendar to verify the accuracy of her average daily balance. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to look at, notice here that it says days in the cycle. So that means there's 31 days in the cycle, so we need to account for 31 days on our credit calendar. Now, we don't really know where to start. We know, though, we're just going to go through as far as the dates-wise. And we know that it closed, or the actual statement closed, on November 13th. So we know that November 13th is the last day in the cycle. Now, if I'm looking at this credit card calendar, notice that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 columns for 7 days in the week. So if I come out, I've got 7, 14, 21, 28, and 3 into it. Right there is 31 days. And I know that 31 days is the 13th of November. So I'm going to have to work back from there to create my calendar. So I've got 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now before I go any further, I need to really know how many days are in each month. So if those days are November, the previous month is October. And in October, we know that there are 31 days. And so the next number is going to be 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, and I'm just going to go ahead and finish this out, going down by one number each time. And when I get all done, I should end up with, we're going to see here in just a second, we should end up on the 14th of October is the beginning of this statement. So now looking back on that day, it looks like the previous balance is right here, and it was $829.30. So what we're going to do is right here, we're going to write that the balance was $829.30. And notice then that the first time a transaction was actually made was on October 25th. So I know because of that that the balance was actually $829.30 all through this week and through this week, and then on the 25th a purchase was made of $67. So I'm going to go ahead and add $67, which makes it a new balance of $896.30 on that day. Now it's going to be $896.30 up until the 29th, at which point there was a $55 purchase. So coming back here, I know that through here it was $896.30. And on the 29th, it was plus $55, which now gives me a balance of $951.30. Now nothing else was done until the 5th of November, at which point there was a payment. So I know that the balance was $951.30 all the way through the rest of this week. It was $951.30 here and through to the 5th. But then on the 5th, there was a payment that was made for $160. So $160 is subtracted And that subtraction sign is kind of hard to see, but let's see if I can get it a little bit better. So it was the 4th of the month, and it's minus 160. So now there is a new balance of $791.30. Nothing else happened on that account all the way until the end of the cycle. So I know it ended at $791.30. Now, in order to find the average daily balance, we're now going to count out the days. And you'll remember from the previous lesson, we've already calculated average daily balance before, but the number of days was given to us. Here we're actually pulling up and going through it to see how many days there was. So the first amount was the $829.30. And it was for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days. It had a balance of $829.30. Then a purchase was made and it changed to $896.30. And that happened for let me use a different color here. 1, 2, 3, 4 days at $896.30. At that point, a $55 purchase happened, and now the account balance was $951.30. And that was for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. Finally, a payment was made, and it lowered the balance at that point to $791.30. And that was for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 days. Now when I multiply these values out, I'm kind of running out of room here, so let me see if I can extend it just a little bit. I get 11 times the $829.30, and I'm going to write the values below. I get $91.22.30. Then I have 4 times $896.30. I get $35.85.20. I have 7 days at $951.30, which gives me $66.59.10. And finally, I had 9 days at $791.30, which gave me a total of $71.21.70. As I did in the previous lesson, I'm going to go ahead and add all of these together, and I get a total of $26,488.30. And if you remember from the last unit, the last step was to go ahead and divide by the number of days in the cycle. And the number of days in the cycle I see are right here. So 11 plus 4 is 15, plus 7 is 22, plus 9 is, it looks like there's 31 days in this cycle. So I'm going to take my 26,488.30 and I'm going to divide it by 31. So let's go ahead and find our calculator, and we're going to do that and see what we end up with. So 26,488.30 divided by 31 days, and you'll see that it says 854.46. So let's check back, and if you look at the average daily balance here, indeed it was done correctly, and it is $854.46. Right. This next check your understanding, we're actually just going to kind of talk it through here. Normally this is a great class conversation, but obviously we can't do that here. It says, is there a better time in the billing cycle Elena could have made her payment so that the average daily balance would have been less? So if we look at this, if this, here we see $951.30. Let's say she had made that payment here on that very next day. That means that there would have been an extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days at a lower amount, which would lower the average daily balance, and it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 less days that it was at that higher value. So in essence, the way to have lowered the finance charge or make it less is to make the payment early or earlier. Because the earlier she makes it, the lower it creates the average daily balance. Okay, second question says determine the finance charge for Elena's billing cycle. Well, we know that her average daily balance was $854.46. Let's go back for just a second and take a look at that statement again. And we see that the monthly periodic rate is 1.415. So I'm going to take that and multiply it. It was 1.415. I have to move the decimal, so it's multiplying it by 0.01415. And when I multiply those, I get a finance charge of $12.09. All right, the next check your understanding. When might Elena have made her purchases during the billing cycle in order to decrease her finance charge? So this really is just the same as the last check your understanding, and it's got the same concept. The earlier the payment is made, the lower the average balance is. The later you make purchases, the lower the average daily balance is going to be. So you need to do it later in the cycle. And by doing that, you will decrease your average daily balance, which in turn decreases the amount of finance charge paid. So now we finished Unit 4. We've got one more to go. Great job.